I don't know. Does Lily have more snaps she wants to make?
I'm trying to see it. How do I see how much battery is left on the AirPods? Don't you have to open and close the case?
What? And welcome to another episode of the Friday Night Movie Podcast. And when we say we're dedicated to bringing you this show, we're bringing you this show despite illness, blown up vacation plans, Lily stuck in Mexico, all of it. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Becky to take us through today's episode and just ask the questions.
I just want to start with the disclaimer that no, you will not catch COVID from listening to this episode.
But 2 out of 3 of us have it.
But you won't catch it from listening to the episode.
And so this is the one where Becky is the only one who's like fighting at full capacity. And
Becky won the Hunger Games.
Yeah,
COVID.
Becky won the Hunger Games.
But
there's
even
no
though my full
Becky
capacity is only like each of your, but my full capacity is only each of your half capacity. The only reason why I don't have COVID is because I have less friends and less plans than each of you. That's why. Like, I'm not like winning because I somehow managed to do as much as either of you and didn't get COVID. I just like don't have anywhere to be. So that's how I haven't caught it.
The only good thing I could say about this is that having been asleep for most of the last 10 days, I have been able to, in various states of fever dreams, watch or listen to a lot of TV. So I have what to report.
So I'm happy that you've had a lot of time, Shai, to watch things. What I don't enjoy is your aggressive, I'm going to just assume fever-induced aggressive text messages all the day that feel like you're yelling at me and Lily
about all the
not
all day.
What
happens is this: I wake up from a feverish state, and it's like I'm yelling because it's the only bit of energy into the tipper tappering of the phone and giving
watch that.
And then I go back to sleep, and you won't hear from me.
It's like an hour. It's like an hour before we're going to podcast, and you're like, "Why haven't you watched this movie yet that I recommended 23 minutes ago?" We're not going to discuss the movie yet.
Becky was like, "I don't have time before 2:00 to watch this. It's noon. I'm with my kids at the park,
and I'm like, I don't know what time it is. It doesn't matter."
You're like in, and this might be a good segue, in Moon Knight when he's like, it's Friday.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
It's Sunday.
Well, like, no, it's Sunday.
I think Moon Knight was the perfect, I guess, because it has the Egypt theme.
That show feels like a bit of a fever dream. So, yeah, it's a bit.
It's a Passover show.
Yeah, because there's Egypt and there's a lot of.
It'd be more of a Passover show if they kept his character Jewish, but
it is interesting to me.
You lose some.
I've read a lot how they've streamlined the character and they've made it make a little more sense, which is very cool. So far, as far as I can tell,
is what didn't make sense.
They streamlined out the Jewish part of his character. The first thing you read about on the Wikipedia page is son of a rabbi. Out of the story,
right?
For now,
right?
So. For now,
doesn't make sense as a Jewish superhero. That doesn't make sense for the audience.
The guy has 3 personalities that may or may not be real people.
But don't make him Jewish.
So
maybe we haven't met the Jewish one yet.
And Ethan Hawke can walk around on glass.
There's 3? I thought it was just 2 personalities. Is there a third coming?
Well, we'll get to that. But so
is the third the Egyptian god that he serves? Is that the third?
No. That, by the way, that's F. Murray Abraham.
Yeah, I know. He's great, right?
Voice.
Great.
So
great. I definitely spent the first episode being like, wow, Liam Neeson sounds like really different.
I just think it's funny that the goose looking Khonshu thing he looks like kind of reminds me of the mask that he wears in Amadeus when he goes to scare Mozart.
Yeah.
Which I thought was like an interesting thing about it.
It's a good Easter egg.
So Moon Knight, right? Oscar Isaac is amazing. I love him.
He's amazing.
But I clearly don't love him so he's amazing. I don't know if I really like his chimney sweep character in this.
Okay, I'm gonna give it from a different perspective.
Okay.
Oscar Isaac is amazing. One of the things we realize that we love the most about him is his American accent. Is that like a nicer way of putting it?
or how I was going to put it is that we found the one thing he can't do, which is a British accent, which I thought was an Australian accent for the first time.
No, he's doing a good British accent. He's doing a
I keep
like
telling
a chimney British accent. I
keep expecting him to
No, it's not. It's not Cockney.
I keep expecting him.
He sounds like the chimney sweep in Mary Poppins.
In Mary Poppins, or warned me not to go back to Hogwarts. It's like one or the other.
But I think that character, especially I've finished episode 3. By the end of episode 3, the British character he's playing is really endearing, and I really like have grown to
Stephen.
I like Stephen. I like Stephen now. That being said, his American accent is like that New York tough accent is definitely what makes him smoldering to me. You know, like it's
Mark
it's what I love
definitely
about.
I think Mark is the cooler character. I can't believe that.
I think so.
That his girlfriend.
Shai, did you?
Stephen eventually.
So you've seen the first 3 episodes?
I've seen the first 4.
The first 4. Okay, so Lily hasn't seen as much as we have, but when Stephen suits up for the first time, I thought that was very funny. Well, Stephen conjures the suit, and then you have Stephen's version of the suit and Mark's version of the suit, and it's very funny.
That was good, but then more episodes with no suit, so it doesn't matter. I haven't seen the suit.
Oh, okay, wait. I have a few questions. Can I ask?
Like, I'm assuming they're only going to
ask questions about Moon Knight on Disney Plus, which is a Marvel show, which I'll say I really like that it is not wrapped up in the rest of the MCU. They need to do more of this. This I really do like. I don't need everything to be tied into a massive crossover. So
I don't have to worry about the snap. They don't need to mention.
Yeah, like just make this about the character and let's enjoy that. Like we don't have to constantly asking ourselves where the other Avengers are, because everything that's going on in this story is not that important.
Right, because there's like a 20-minute spiel in all those movies explaining where everybody else is.
Do the Avengers even know about all these Egyptian gods? Like, I don't think so.
I mean, maybe.
Do the Eternals know about that?
Well, if you get to episode 4, spoiler alert,
oh my God,
it may all be in his head anyway.
Too?
Oh my God, please.
Is the Eternals in this?
Yeah.
No.
I haven't seen that.
Yes?
Yeah.
Oh God.
They're definitely
I'm not watching it, so I don't have to worry about it.
This phase of the Marvel world.
This is not a productive conversation.
This phase of the Marvel world seems to be emphasizing magic a lot, so that's why you have Doctor Strange, WandaVision, even the Spider-Man movie has very magic induced. And so on one hand, I'm really excited for, let's say, Sam Raimi. On the other hand, this is a little bit starting to be Happy Days after Richie left the show, like the Marvel Universe. Right? Like there's a little,
but I feel like for me, this show
or SNL in the early '80s, like like with Eddie Murphy. So there's a good part of it, but you're not really back at.
No, like to me, this doesn't. Other than the fact that it's a superhero, it's not Marvel. It's just its own fantasy show. But trying to wedge this into the Marvel universe doesn't work for me. This just being its own like capsule universe is fine.
Good. I don't think it needs to.
Yeah. Okay. So at the end,
and I love.
So at the end of the first episode. So at the end of the first episode, he turns into a suit. He wears a suit.
He conjures it. He conjures it. The Moon Knight suit.
The Moon Knight.
But you haven't seen it in its full glory yet, Lily. You don't really get its full glory until maybe episode 2 or 3.
Okay,
so the suit. It has this really cool
the suit is not. It's not a really Superman cool thing where he's wearing it under his clothes and he needs to go to a phone booth and change.
No, it's magic.
It's magic. Okay.
Well, it's not magic. It's like controlled by a god, and so
it's Khonshu's. He's Khonshu's avatar on Earth, essentially. But depending on who is embodying it, so he has multiple personalities, or at least we think he does.
I think dissociative.
No, he doesn't have dissociative.
Well, I think the character.
Yeah, he has What did you think?
might, but they
no,
haven't.
He's described as having dissociative personality disorder.
But they haven't explained it in the show yet. But there's
oh my gosh, I just thought he had like multiple souls living in him.
Well, so they
That's
haven't.
a beautiful way of putting it, but I think he's the character described as having dissociative personality disorder.
But I don't know what they're going to tell us the show
I think it's
is.
identity.
Whatever it is, when he is disorder. Mark, which is the like super spy kind of character.
That's not the same as Moon Knight?
No, that guy made a deal with Khonshu and becomes Moon Knight. His version of Moon Knight is like very Batman-esque and has the swirling cape and like these amazing swords and things like that. When Steven eventually becomes Moon Knight, he's like a dapper man and like a little like three-piece vest.
Yeah. You look like a dapper like rubber.
All of the identities become Moon Knight at some point?
Well, once something happens, which they haven't explained why, the wall between Steven and Mark is breaking down. Now, my theory, and I think everyone else's theory, and because I've done a rebooting of the character, there's at least one more personality, person or soul, whatever, in there, because there are spots that neither Steven nor Mark can remember where they are more violent than even Mark is. And so there must be another soul.
Okay, wait, so sorry. There's Steven, who's the first character we meet in episode 1. Mm-hmm. There's Mark, who we know exists, who's the mercenary. Mm-hmm. In episode 1.
And then we believe there, and by that time you get to the end of episode 3, or I guess episode 4, by episode 3, there's
Mark is not Moon Knight.
Mark is Moon Knight. So
they're all Moon Knight. They're all Moon Knight.
Okay, so Mark becomes Moon Knight.
Moon Knight is basically okay. So there's an Egyptian
it's like,
god.
You know how there's
Khonshu.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let's explain. There's an Egyptian god Khonshu, and what he does is he selects an avatar on Earth, so like a human, with whom he can channel powers and this special suit, which is this healing,
and he's about vengeance.
Healing suit, right? And so what he does is he selects an avatar on Earth. That's Mark/Steven, and when he wants, and he has them do his bidding or carry out his requests. And in order to do that, they suit up in the Moon Knight suit. They conjure the suit, turn into like that, white drapey suit thing. And then they are, and then that suit comes with weapons and special powers and heals them, protects them. And then in that suit, they can make them much stronger, faster, jump further.
Okay, that makes more sense. But then how come all the bad guys knew Mark's face or Steven's face? They've seen him outside the suit.
Because Mark, it was a mercenary that was somehow involved with this hunt for a different Egyptian god, Amet, which is the one that Ethan Hawke is obsessed with. Right. He was already involved in the hunt for that in the first place, which is somehow how he got connected to Khonshu, was that he survived this attack, or this thing happened to him.
Right. And Khonshu chose him and saved his life. But the trade is that Mark/Steven has to become his avatar and bound to him. And,
Which he claims.
But it's unclear.
To avenge bad people.
It's avenge bad people, but it's unclear, like, how evil Khonshu. Like, right now, I have to say by the end of episode 3, it's clear that Ethan Hawke's not a good guy, but with Khonshu, it's a little bit of a gray area.
Yeah, because Ethan Hawke says he was Khonshu's former avatar and claims that it was like the worst thing ever. And so
and that's what his spirit and broke him down as a person and what turned him into what he is today, trying to find this other god Amet. And for reasons, I don't want to ruin it for you, but
I do think there's like a really cool moral thing here between the question of Amet's God, right? What Amet's power is the ability, or claims to be the ability, to weigh the scales of what someone's going to do in their life, good and bad. And if they come out on the bad side, then it basically sucks the life out of them, and kills them. Whereas Khonshu is only punishing people who Khonshu believes has already sinned. And so there's this question of, do you punish people when it's, what one people say is one group,
like Minority Report,
or exactly,
like a pre-crime thing.
There's a little bit of like an Indiana Jones Ghostbusters Minority Report thing happening here.
Yeah, and that's kind of what makes it a little bit cool.
So the voice Stephen is hearing for the first time is the God's voice, Khonshu's
The
voice.
deep voice is Salieri from Amadeus.
Yeah.
Right, but that's not one of the personalities.
What
or the
do we
identities.
what do
That's
we
the God.
think of Ethan
Correct?
Hawke in this show?
Hold on, wait.
Yeah.
The voice is the God. It's not one of the identities.
Yeah.
Well, no, but then
Right,
he
it's-
also talks. His identities talk a lot.
When
to
you
each other, so it
hear-
gets a little confusing.
Oscar Isaac's regular voice, that's one
That's
of
the other
identities.
identities.
Yeah.
Right.
So right now you only have that voice and you have Khonshu's voice. Wait, what do we
But we
think of
think
Ethan
there's a
Hawke?
third.
I love Ethan Hawke. Latter day
I
Ethan
love
Hawke.
Ethan.
I don't know anything
love
about this
him.
guy as a person because I'm not really interested in learning about, I think, celebrities as people anymore. Because
I don't think he's a bad person.
No. But I'm just saying Ethan Hawke's latter day roles, and one of the ones I want to point to is how amazing he is in the remake of Magnificent Seven, that he like elevates that movie up to like another level of good. And that's a movie already with Denzel Washington in it, right? But like his performance in that as the down and out gunfighter is so incredible. I like these latter day dark Ethan Hawke roles. He's a terrific villain.
Have we seen him as a villain ever?
No, and I think another thing though is that Marvel sometimes really doesn't deliver on having good villains in their properties. Like they've been one dimensional. Ethan Hawke's already as cool as some of the really good ones.
I was just about to say what's great about the Ethan Hawke character is that it's very complex. By the time you get to the end of the third episode, what he says to Khonshu at the end of the third episode, an explanation of like Ethan Hawke giving the explanation of Harrow, giving the explanation of how he came to be who he is. That's like, it's very intense and makes it just, I don't know, it just makes them much more complex. Their motivations feel that much more interesting.
You need to do a double take as to whether or not, is he right? And I think you need Ethan Hawke or someone at that level to make that believable. And
I think it's great. It's totally
besides the Linklater stuff that he's done, the Richard Linklater stuff, I feel like he's just really done in the last 15 years stuff that appeals to him and that he likes, and he's like worked on his books and kind of done these, not necessarily mega movies or popular movies, but like, I haven't seen all of this stuff, but seems to kind of doing whatever he wants. And then I saw a quick interview where he said that him and Oscar Isaac are neighbors and like in New York City, and they get along really well. And he thinks he's such a great actor. And when this opportunity came up, he was like, yeah, let's do it. But that it was because of something he was super interested in. I'm just saying he doesn't seem to like, no offense at all to like a Brolin or a David Harbour, but I feel like I see those guys in so many things, and that's great. They're great actors, and the stuff that they're in are great, but it's sort of, it's really refreshing, I'm just saying, to see Ethan Hawke and something that's a bit more, mainstream, because I feel like we just don't get to see him doing, a lot of mainstream stuff, which is fine.
Both of them are a huge strength
great.
of this show. And the Indiana Jonesy feel of it is really good. I'm not, and again, I'm not in a great physical space right now, but it's like really hard to understand what's happening.
When this episode is done recording, Shai's actually going to melt from the inside and liquefy, where I'm going to find him in a puddle with just some like headphones wrapped around, like headphones in the goo.
The end of episode. Well, anyways, I think I can keep watching Oscar Isaac and Ethan Hawke as long as they keep promising me that. I'm into it. I think what we really have to ask ourselves is why is this Moon Knight different than all other Moon Knights? Because we watched it on Passover.
Oh, because we watched it on Passover. And I was like, I don't know, because there haven't been other Moon Knights before.
No, but I would say we could say, why is this Marvel different than other Marvels? Because it's very rare that you'd sell me on seeing one of these shows. There's too many of these shows. I didn't even watch the Hawkeye one. I do not give a shit.
But I tried to watch the Hawkeye one when I was trying to watch the Hawkeye one when I was recovering from my surgery in January. But I don't know if I told this story. So they gave me like a medication for nausea, but it makes your vision go blurry. So I kept trying to watch the Hawkeye show, but I couldn't see anything, and it was really trippy, and it like really confused me. And I ended up, I think, just giving up about 2/3 of the way through the first episode. But it was like watching it like underwater. It was very weird. Don't recommend watching it with Scolamine Cat. Or I don't know what it was. I might be making that name up.
So Lil, but this one I feel like does see, this is what I like, because if you're drawn to these actors and you want something a little Indiana Jonesy, like give it a try, and there isn't the baggage of the rest of the Marvel universe. Like you don't have
so that's the selling point for me.
You don't have to know who WandaVision is.
You're right.
In fact, anyone where I don't have to have seen WandaVision, I'm interested because I still haven't finished that. I'll try to finish that soon. Maybe in the end I'll like it, but I don't think it's going to happen.
You know what? Speaking of having to watch something to see something else, I finally saw Suicide Squad so that I can watch Peacemaker. But I was so upset in Suicide Squad when Peacemaker, I don't want to ruin it for anyone, but Peacemaker kills one of like the teammates in the Suicide Squad, and I was so upset. I was like, I don't want to watch you anymore, Peacemaker. I'm mad at you. So now I don't want to watch it.
But I think part of the show is to kind of give you more of an arc to the character, I think.
I don't know. I hope so, but I'm still upset about that.
But that movie was cool, right?
It was a really cool movie, but I genuinely felt upset after. So I was like, oh, I don't want to watch him.
Well, what else have we been watching during this extended, lengthy period of vacations and time off?
I think it's mostly been extended, lengthy sick days for you two.
I mean,
not for me.
Yes,
my life is.
But I haven't watched
normal.
a lot of TV because I still have a baby, so I haven't really been able to watch TV on sick days.
You know how much TV I watched when I had babies? I'm just saying.
You have an ability to watch shows that is unparalleled.
How much? Wait. How much cooking did you do? How much grocery shopping? How much meal prep? Tell me that. Then tell me how many shows you watched when you had babies.
You should order in more so you can watch more food. So you can watch more shows.
Watch more food. Yes, order in.
Please.
My brain's foggy.
All right. So
I can tell you what I've seen.
What have you guys been watching? What have you been watching the last?
Shai and I both watched.
I mean, we haven't recorded a new episode in a long time. We haven't recorded a new episode in a long time. So we have a lot.
Shai and I
get ready to be disappointed with my progress.
Shai and I both watched Single Drunk Female, but I haven't finished.
Either way, I give that show a huge buy.
Yeah,
Sophia Black-Delia and Ali Sheedy, fantastic, funny, but really sharp and smart and dramatic. I mean, it's not even a comedy; it's a drama, but in a half hour. So I feel like it actually uses the time so well. It's really good.
I started also, but have not finished though. I think Shai did Life and Beth, which I really like so far.
I have one episode. I'm on the last episode.
I think that's Amy Schumer's best work to date. Such a beautiful,
fantastic,
complex show. Again, another one that.
Did you guys see the episode with Michael? The one where it's really just her and Michael Rappaport for most of the episode when she takes her dad out. When she takes her dad with her. Oh, I think that's he's phenomenal. I mean, he's so good. So good.
He is good. And then I highly recommend the movie The Adam Project on Netflix. It is adorable. And it's a great movie. I think the word shit is in the movie, but other than that, I think you can watch it with kids. I mean, there's some explosion.
We have a much lower bar in my house than.
Exactly. Your house is the perfect movie for you guys to watch all together, masked.
Okay.
Because you have various stages of COVID. And so I think that they made a bunch of these type of Netflixy movies. And the one with 0 Below 7 or whatever that schlocky piece of shit was with Ryan Reynolds, it was unwatchable.
Yeah.
6
degrees of below 0.
6 degrees.
The under 6 degrees.
6 underdog.
Underground.
Underdog 6. Underdog.
It was terrible. This I feel
underground
like he is
6 underground. 6 under 6. $600,000.
900. Anyways, he's redeemed with this adorable movie. I thought it was just a lot of fun, and I feel like if this was a movie when we were kids, we would have loved it.
Okay.
This would have been in the rotation. So I think it was really cute to watch with kids. We all finished Last Kingdom, which was amazing. We're going to do a whole episode on that. I highly recommend it. I think if you have to pick a Viking show, this is the one. I watched the other one, and it's not as good. I'm sorry, Josh. It's not as good as Last Kingdom. So
everyone should know we are going to do a Last Kingdom special. We're going to bring Josh and Mark back. And there's two important things. One is to constantly remind Josh that this is the better Viking show.
It is.
Two, booking those two, you'd think they were the ones who are running the podcast.
Those are two very difficult men to tie down.
We gave them like a 3-week window.
There's a lot of hockey tournaments to have to manage.
Exactly.
with this booking. And then I enjoying season 2 of Bridgerton. It's trash, but it's a highly recommended trash.
It's not trash.
It's
I feel like if you think that's trash, you don't watch enough TV. That's my answer.
Now,
you don't know what trash is.
Who doesn't watch enough TV?
I'm just saying, don't say Bridgerton is trash. You don't know what trash is if you think that's trash. I'll give you trash. You want trash? You want trash? You know what?
Love is
Watch Love is Blind. Watch Love is Blind. They get
90 Day. Is this a cake?
Oh my God, the new Medium show I just started watching. Oh, so good.
Okay, wait, I'll hear about that in a second. And then my last thing that we started was, we're getting through it pretty quick, is Pieces of Her, which is the Toni Collette sort of mystery on Netflix about witness protection and sort of like a political, political mystery type show. It's interesting. It's good. She's so good. It's based on a book, and you can kind of tell sometimes when when they're trying to adapt it. It can get a little clunky, but I think it's good so far. The only thing I have to preface is that the first episode is upsetting. There's a scene in the first episode it's kind of the catalyst for the rest of the show. It has nothing to do with the rest of the show. It just sort of puts the person who's in witness protection out into the spotlight. And that event is a shooting, and it's a little bit upsetting. So like a bit of a warning there. And then after that, it has nothing to do with that. It's just about the whole situation of this person. It has nothing to do with the actual event. So you can get past that, which is quick. It's pretty interesting. I love watching her. She's one of my favorites. I kind of will watch her in anything. So that's awesome. I love seeing her on. Well,
also because you didn't tell me the name of that show, I still haven't started it yet. But I just put her name.
Pieces of her.
There's like 100 things with her in it, and half of them are like terrifying that she's done.
Okay. So because she's done a bunch of really kind of dark stuff lately. I feel like, right? We've not seen her in comedy. Yeah.
Toni Collette. Oh yeah. Well, she did Hereditary, right?
Hereditary. Yeah. So she's, but this is a meaty. I think it's a meaty role for her. So I'm enjoying that. I think that's it. Can't think of anything else right now.
Do you want me to go back, or do you want to do it?
I mean, do you have I'm looking at your list, and I'm wondering if you actually have the stamina to do the whole list.
No, I made a
If you need to take a nap, that's fine, and we can come back to you.
Well, I want to pay respect.
Should you get some ginger lemon tea before you start?
These are all shows,
a lot of
by
words
the way,
to get through.
These are all shows where I would say I have seen half of every episode over the course of multiple days because I can't stay awake during anything. So they all get a certain large amount of respect. So one of them is I watched, and this is dating back a few weeks. So, because it's hard to figure out when we last taped a full episode where we weren't anyways, but I watched all of Shrill all the way through. I think that show is a masterpiece. I think A.D. Bryant's a genius. I think everything from how it started to how it ended, to where it ended, everything was earned. Everything about it is masterful. I want to sort of I want to throw some heat and say, I saw some comparisons between it and Fleabag, and I would say I like this show a lot more than Fleabag. I
don't think they're comparable. I just don't think they're at all the same thing.
I'm not saying.
I don't know why people compare them.
I didn't say that. I'm saying.
I know. I'm just saying.
Then I also watched the first season of The Flight Attendant, and either I watched it in one day or 2.5 weeks. I can't remember. The
Feels about
first
right.
episode or 2 episodes were a little bit hard for me to get into, but overall, I loved it. I've never seen anything with Katie Kuoko before, and similar to Melissa Rauch in The
I think
Bronze.
it's Katie Cuckoo?
No, Cuckoo.
Cuoco?
I don't think. I think
Anyways.
it's Cuckoo.
Katie Cuckoo?
Similar to when I
Cuoco?
saw Melissa Rauch
Cuoco.
in The Bronze, and I was like, wow, this lady's amazing. That's how I feel about Katie Kuoko. She reminds me of like Goldie Hawn in like at the peak Goldie Hawn in movies like Deceived, right? But as well as Foul Play and other things like that. So I thought she was amazing, and I really liked all the characters they kind of put together in it, and I'm excited that there's a season 2 of that show. So that's very
Okay,
cool.
so first of all, her name is Kaylee, not Katie.
It's not Katie. I mean, look,
That's
I mean,
okay.
the Big Bang Theory.
considering his state,
And it's Cuoco.
really, Lily.
Okay.
I think
You got
really,
Cuoco right.
I got
So
Cuoco.
that's something.
Okay. Then I watched Living with Yourself, which Lily described as a lullaby.
To be fair,
You described it
I
as a
did not
lullaby.
describe it as a lullaby.
Literally
I said
in your text
Paul
message.
Rudd. Paul Rudd is a lullaby.
Yeah.
Paul
I
Rudd,
love
the
Paul
man.
Rudd.
okay. So,
I love Paul Rudd. I did not like this show at all.
Okay, you're the only person I know that didn't like
well,
it.
I don't think it's getting a
Everybody I know
second
loved
season,
it.
so you win.
Well, I don't think it's supposed to. It was.
I don't think it's supposed to. I think it was a
one
one-off.
shot, but it's not a. It was like a long movie. I didn't like it. It just upset me because but it wasn't that it was badly made. The acting was fantastic. I really didn't like Paul Rudd's
The
characters.
Oh,
It's Multiplicity meets the movie Andover that we saw with Jonathan Silverman and Jennifer Finnegan, and I liked Andover as the dark take on cloning and like marriage a lot more than Living with Yourself, which like tried to be dark, but then like I think because it was Paul Rudd, they couldn't not keep it happy at times, but it was a very grim show.
did you watch the whole thing?
I feel like I wonder if it's part of like Paul Rudd's contract that if you're going to have him be either a jerk or a villain or someone
There has
who's
to be
like
another version.
not lovable, there has to be like a second Paul Rudd clone that's like that's a nice guy.
I don't even know
anyway.
which clone I liked more in the end.
I mean, it's got to be the only way he plays a jerk is if there's also a good version of himself. But there's some new movie coming out. Can't think of the name of it, but it's another clone story where you can clone yourself if, for example, you're going to die, because then your clone can take over your life. And and in this story, the woman who thinks she's going to die, her terminal, she doesn't end up dying, but then you can't have her and the clone walking around. So what is done in that case is they have to have a duel to the death. I think the movie is about like her training to fight her clone to the death. And the clone is like,
I don't know if this is the same one, or this is
really
the one that I was thinking of is also about a clone, but it's Mahershala. I can't pronounce the name. Mahershala Ali's new movie. Mahershala Ali's new movie. And that's Swan Song. And that's also about a clone that you can make a clone if you're dying. So how many of these movies are out there?
Maybe it's the same one.
Is that Multiplicity
maybe it is.
and Orphan Black. No more clone things after that. Those are perfection as far as I'm concerned. All right. Then I let Netflix, I just kind of gave in and let Netflix just start recommending things to me.
Wait, but did you at least find it funny that the clone that this system works out for in the Paul Rudd show is Tom Brady. It's like just Tom Brady just like cloning himself and killing himself.
That was like a funny bit. I mean, look, I think
that was like the only reason why Tom Brady.
If the show had purely been played as a dark show, I think I would have liked it more. But it kept like
it was doing
teasing back into rom-com in a way that I didn't like. That's what it was. I think if it was more like a Severance, then I would have liked it more. So then I let Netflix just roll it, like keep recommending me things. It recommended Win It All with Jake Johnson, which was directed by the guy, I don't know who the director is, but it's the director who did the show Easy that you guys like and Drinking Buddies. And it was like Jake Johnson's version of Uncut Gems. It was about a gambling addict, and it was about this like this particular gambling addict trying to get out from this one particular debt. And I thought it was an amazing performance from him. And this movie is a straight shot of anxiety. It's not as intense as Uncut Gems.
It's one of those things where those
type.
movies came out at the same time, which always happens, and then one becomes super famous and the other one no one ever watches.
They're made very differently, so I don't think. But Jake Johnson, who is also phenomenal in Minx, I just think that guy is a great actor, and this was a really good vehicle for him. And I think this was a really good quality movie that I'm sure people overlooked. And then I also saw, because it just kept recommending things, Saint and Vincent with Bill Murray.
Oh, Bill Murray
and
Melissa McCarthy.
And Melissa McCarthy, and then this kid who was really wonderful in it. And, I'd always avoided the movie because I was like, oh, Bill Murray as a grumpy old man being a mentor kind of a thing. And on one hand, it plays out exactly like that. On the other hand, this is a really beautiful movie. And I'd love to know what you all think when you see it, is if it's the performances or the script or both, but something about it made it very special. And it takes place in Sheepshead Bay, and the house, like when they show Bill Murray in his house at one point, it looked like our grandparents' old house in Brooklyn. And then it takes place really in their area of Brooklyn, and so I thought that was really kind of heartwarming and a really cool movie. I enjoyed it, and then I tried Outer Range with Brolin, and that was really hard.
Hey, what show is that, and why do you think that show is for me?
It's just
because it's got a sci-fi mystery to it, Becky. It's got like
I like a sci-fi mystery.
It's a lot like that
is for me.
Show you watched, right? Like there's this cowboy,
this
ranch owner in Wyoming, and there's a massive.
Well, when I meet Jonathan Tucker, I think I saw every episode of Debris. I'd be like, "Oh, you're the one." Okay, good for you.
So this one,
thanks for nothing.
There's a big mystery hole in the range, and people are falling into it. I just someone else can watch it and tell me if after the first episode and a half, if it gets better, I will totally go back to it because I love Brolin, but it was
that is on Prime.
And then that's on Amazon Prime. And then somewhere in all of this, as part of our Passover tradition, the 10 Commandments, gotta love watching that movie every year. I mean, it takes us a week to watch it, but that's always huge. And I love watching it with the kids. And then introduce the kids to Jackie Chan movies. So they saw Rush Hour and part of Rumble in the Bronx. So that's what's been happening here. Becky, how about you? And then take us home. You can follow me at Pancake for Table.
Well, as being the only one who hasn't been sick and who has had to continue to live life, I've seen Life and Beth. I finally watched Coda, which I loved. Finally saw it. Another earlier rec on this was Tio Mario recommended this, which is truly the only reason I watched this. Gunpowder Milkshake on Netflix. Watched it because Mario.
I watched it because of him and reported back that I liked the show, but that wasn't enough for you to like it. Absolutely not. That was a cool movie, right?
I needed the Tio. The fight scene where her arms are paralyzed is so creative and hilarious and very well done. And that little girl that's in it, she's like the only kid that's cast these days. She's in every single thing I've seen lately. The little kid is like, she's I don't even know her name, but she's in everything. Finished Severance. Did we talk about that? Did we talk about the ending of Severance?
We should talk about it off.
Did you finish it?
Off the
show.
We
gotta talk about it.
It was very good.
Off the show. And it was so good.
Wait, Shai, you said you hated that show.
No. I said I had to watch that show on fast forward to get into it. But by the seventh episode, I didn't have to watch it on 1.5 speed anymore.
Well, yeah, it's a classic.
The 7th episode. How many episodes?
Yeah, because it's a classic streaming.
Like
it's a classic
9?
Streaming show.
Yeah,
there's 9. It's a classic streaming show where the first 6 are really slow, and then everything happens in the last 3.
It is a classic streaming thing where, and I think Outer Range
really good
from this too. And it's like, well, we've got to keep them binging the whole show, but maybe we only have like 3 hours worth of story to tell.
No, I think it was so interesting, and Ben Stiller is clearly such a great director.
Oh, yeah, I'm not talking about Severance. Severance, though, it was slow, and I was impatient with it. But by the time I got to the 7th episode, I was not watching it on fast forward. But I will say that feature is amazing. The 1.5 speed for certain things It's just fine.
Our Passover watch was Prince of Egypt, which my kids aren't really able to sit through the whole thing. They get bored, but they really love the story and love to tell me about baby Moses and how he was saved, and it's very cool. They're really into that. And I mean,
we also watched that
cast of voice actors. I mean, like, oof, that is an all-star. And
as Moses definitely makes sense.
Sandra Bullock. Has Sandra Bullock done any other animated? She did. I mean,
and I'm pretty sure she did one of the Gru Minions movies. Just so you know.
They threw in Jeff Goldblum as Aaron, who sounds like he's from Brooklyn, and just because he's Jewish, I guess they should have just had Pharaoh be Seinfeld or Moses be Seinfeld or something. It just and you got Patrick Stewart as the original Pharaoh. Pharaoh's dad, right? Yeah, I think it's Rafe.
Ramsey.
I'm sure it's Rafe.
Rafe. Oh,
Rafe Fiennes is Ramsey.
It's Rafe. You're right.
It's Rafe.
It's not Ralph.
That's like something I would say, but that's the one name I know. And you know what? His voice is so cool that it's maybe
Ralph
he can get away with it.
No, the reason I think her last name is pronounced cuckoo cuckoo is because she went on with Tig Notaro had this show where she would interview people but didn't know who they were. And throughout the interview process, had to guess, because she doesn't know who anyone is. I mean, she doesn't know who anyone is. And so she's interviewing Kaylee, unclear how you pronounce her last name. And she takes out a cuckoo clock to give her a hint of what her last name is. So that's why I think it's pronounced like Kukwo or Kukwo or Kuko, Kaylee Kuko. Anyway, because she took out a cuckoo clock because she said it sounds like this. So, okay, so I mean, internet knows more than me. What's new? And then lastly, I started watching last night on Netflix, Life After Death with Taylor Henry. What's his name?
I think he's very famous, right?
It's with Tyler Henry. He's this very, very famous medium. He can speak to pure spirits of those who have passed on. And I just feel like everyone should watch that.
Is it legit? Is it bullshit? Is it real?
They make it seem very real. But as I told Shai, I would like nothing more than to see the spin-off where fictional character Sean Spencer gives his take on it from the show Psych, who claims to be a medium, but is really claims to be a psychic, but is not. But it's fraud. Anyways, so I watched half of the first episode and I was very into it. Yeah, that's what I'm watching. So before we say goodbye and sign off, Lily, where can people follow you?
I just want to say this guy also has a show called Hollywood Medium where he does the same thing for celebrities.
No, that was like his old show, and he references that and is like, I'm not doing it anymore. Now I'm using my powers for good use. It's like I'm using my powers for good use.
Not only celebrities can talk to loved ones. You can follow me, Chichi Gomez on Twitter.
And you can follow me at Paper BK Princess on Twitter. You can follow all of our shenanigans at Fry Night Movie on Instagram and Twitter. Yeah. And
Friday Night Movie Pod.com.
FridayNightMoviePod.com. And, good luck. I don't know if you'll be able to find us after I did that outro, but listen to a different episode and hear it done properly by Shai. Love you. Bye.
Love you guys.
It's really funny.
This is the best outro. Shai, you don't even have to edit that episode. Just post it as is.